Hello everyone, welcome to another horror review. Got an email from StreamYard last night. Apparently there was a whole issue with Facebook. Their server went down, hence the whole faffing about. Was it last night or the night before? Night before, sorry. So the last stream, obviously I had a wee bit of issues. Sorry Facebook folks, apparently nothing went out to you. So there you go. Fortunately out of my hands, these things happen. But we move on and try and keep cracking on. That's all we can do. Yeah, I'm very red tonight. I don't know, the lights are just making me super red, so I don't know what's going on there. Camera must be messing up, but hey, fun and games. Right, so anyway, tonight we are talking about Scare Package. Now, I had this on my watch list, put off, I honestly thought it was found footage, so it's kind of putting it off. But it's more of a meta Scream type thing, which isn't much better, but suppose the best way I can describe this is a big steaming pile of dumb fun. That's what it is. The creator of this, his name rang a bell, R&B Counts, and I realized I looked into him, and he's a guy that created the Pale Door. Cameron and I reviewed, and that was annoying. That was a Western movie with witches in it, and it should have been really good, and it turned out to be awful. Such a shame. So thankfully, I found that out after the fact, because if I looked at him before watching this, I'd have been like, nah, and not watched it. But it's a fun movie. So it's an anthology. It's similar to the likes of Tales from the Dark Side, where you've got an overarching story, and then the anthology and All Hallows Eve, that sort of affair, and more Tree Collection. So if you like that type, where you've got the main story and then it gets interspersed with the anthology stories, this is the one for you. It's not taking itself too seriously. It's playing on the meta tropes of horror. Thankfully, though, it doesn't go. You know, sometimes when you do meta stuff and poke you at it, poke at you with it, it can like be a bit jarring. Thankfully, this wasn't too bad in that respect. So it made the movies, made the whole thing kind of fun. So we start off with cold open, and it's a whole. Oh, flip. Hi, Chris. Starting off early. Scare Package is a disappointment. Dear my jeans. Dear man. Flip. You've got the whole self-depreciation thing down to a T, don't you? Oh, my word. Here, she's still with you, so you're doing something right. I've had 2 marriages now under the belt, so I can't say a word or give relationship advice. I'm not too good at it, so whatever you're doing outside the cocktail sausage department, keep cracking on, mate. That's all I can offer you. Yeah, but this starts with hold on, guy's trying to sell a house, and he's like, "Oh no, is there anything scary?" Yeah, if you don't read papers after 1976 or something, really hammy, cheesy opening scene. Then you see the ghost in the back, and then he's something else. So it turns out this guy is the opener. Basically what that means is, this is where I'm talking about the whole meta stuff. He knows he's in a horror movie, and he's always the guy that opens it up, as in he sells the house. God, what else did he do? He sets up the scene, basically. He's not always a character. He's someone that you maybe see in the background. And basically what he's saying is, I don't want to be that. I want to be the villain or the main character. Or no, he doesn't want to be the villain. He wants to be the main character. He wants to be one of the other tropes. I'm trying to think what movie this is. This is more sort of cartoony type stuff. like Wreck-It Ralph or something like that, as in I don't want to be by my programming type thing. Here, I'm British. We love self-depreciating humor. That's what it's all about. You have to embrace the foibles and if you embrace your cracks and your feelings and just make fun of them as part of yourself, then you can only enjoy your successes. That's kind of the way it works. It's those that don't have any feelings, or come across or try to act like they're perfect. They tend to put people off very quickly. You get the initial, especially for inexperienced people, but you get the initial flash and all that kind of stuff and razzmatazz, and then you start looking behind the curtain, you realize not much here, so. There's a whole thing. Stephen Fry actually did a good thing, and I know he's become a bit of a tit later years, but he did a whole segment on American versus British comedy, especially like the heroes. Your main protagonists and the differences between what we find funny and what you guys over there find funny. There was a TV series like way back in the day called Red Dwarf, and they tried to make an American version of it. And the reason it failed horribly is because they couldn't get Lister right, because Lister is a British character, and he's an idiot. He's a failure, and that's kind of the whole thing that's embraced in culture. And it made it heartwarming as well, because then you identify with him, because then you're like, hey, that guy's like me. I've messed up and done these stupid things. They tried it as well with the In-Betweeners. They tried to make an American version of that. Once again, it fell flat because that type of humor can't translate across. There's universal humor, of course. We all laugh at certain things, or else nobody would, comedies wouldn't exist. You wouldn't have like comedians existing outside their own bubble or country. So there is, there's things that we can all laugh at, but that fundamental ability to laugh at yourself and embrace your inaccuracies or inadequacies, it's a unique thing, and it doesn't necessarily translate into the I'm the hero, I'm the good guy. This anthology kind of touches on that type of humor, but it's done in American style, so not quite there. If you saw, what was it, The Masquerade of the House of Blood, the Kenny Everett one, I reviewed a while ago. That's British humor. That's that kind of making fun of people's sexual prowess and all that kind of stuff in a horror setting. That's all out there. The Carry On series is a classic example of that. Monty Python, that's another example. But yeah, so have this guy, he's frustrated and he wants to be this, he wants to be that. So he breaks his character, he breaks his programming, and he's the one cutting the power. Because what they're doing is they're saying that it's almost like an alternate universe thing. Horror movies are set in reality, and it's not a bunch of actors. It's actually happening to people. But there's outside entities that go to create the horror movies. It's that kind of... So it's the thing that plays throughout this series. The good thing to do is don't over-explain. This could have easily been ruined by over-explanation and get into, you meet the creators sort of thing of horror. That would have been dumb. Thankfully, they stayed away from that. And like I said, R&B counts, really disappointed by the Pale Door. Really disappointed. This kind of makes up for it. I'm glad, like I said, I'm just glad that it didn't pick up on his name before this. But there you go. So what happens is here's a Chad. There's a Chad. No. Mike. Yeah, Mike Myers. Yeah, they're going that literal with it. Breaks his programming and then becomes essentially a a cheesy version of Michael Myers. But it turns out this is a pitch to some random guy in a car that he hitchhiked with. And he's hitchhiking with a guy called Chad. And he goes, that's my film idea, when it comes to the end of the first anthology piece. Then we dive into the main story. And then the guy's like, don't know if that'll work, Also, going hitchhiking and getting cars with strangers, bad idea. And then he's in a convertible, the top comes down, and it's the same car, the same color played out in Nightmare on Elm Street. And the top comes down, it's Freddy Krueger sweater colors, they do this. And then this guy speeds off while this guy goes to his home. And then it turns out Chad is the main character of Chad's Emporium, who runs a video store. This is what made me think, actually. There's a lot of stuff at the moment, homage to the 80s and 90s and days, and I think people are missing out. I think there's a yearning for it because not so much us, not so much my generation, because we've been there, done it, and we're at the old fart stage where we're just like, yeah, whatever, that was fun. Now we're doing this. I think why a lot of this is in the way young ones are picking it up. I could be wrong, but it's just my theory anyway. Feel free to comment if you think I'm wrong. But what people don't understand about video stores, game shops, arcades, is there were places to hang out. So you didn't just go, not all the time, but most times you didn't just go to the video store to go pick your movie and that's it. No way streaming is click of a button, there it is, and you got your movie. It was more than that. It was an event. So if it was a family movie, your family, you went out with your parents. Like, that's one thing I'll say about my mum and dad. They took us to the video store, and we were one of not the first, obviously, but we were pretty early on. We got a VHS. That was a big thing. And it was during the time, Betamax was a thing and all, and way back in the day. But we got it, and made a point of going to the video store. And it was a family thing. We went out, we picked like 2 movies because you had them for 2 days. If I remember rightly, it was you could pay so much for 2 days, you could pay so much for one next day return. But it was a social thing. You turned up, you went to the video store, you were buying your snacks, you're picking up your movie as a family. But then later on, when you got older, it was a thing you did with your friends. You just picked the house. Okay, we're going to have movie night here, right? And then you met up and you went together and you picked your movies. And then you went back and watched them. Same thing. It was a social thing, which you don't get now. Even this, there's interaction, yes. Someone could pop on a video, but it's not. There's something about physicality as a human. We need it. That's why physical media is coming back. That's why people like to collect things. There's physical, tactile, being around people with the same interests. That's why people love going to concerts. That's why the cinema, if we lose the cinema, that'll be a shame, the way things are going. But going to the cinema is an experience. You're going, even if you have nothing in common with people, and that's kind of the wrong thing about social media, but you go with others, and for that moment, you're all the same tribe, if that makes sense, because you've got that common interest. You want to go and do that thing. And I think that's why there's a lot of these movies coming out now, paying back to that time, purely because there's a yearning for it, because people are missing. Yes, technology is wonderful. I can sit here and I can talk to the world. I can interact with people from all over the world. I can have people on this stream, which this Sunday we're going to be doing, and guests come on. It could be from anywhere. And you have that instant ability to meet up, talk, discuss things, share interests and hobbies. So it's brilliant, but at the same time, we've lost that tactility, that togetherness, and that's, I think, what people are yearning for. Why so many of these? Look at the most successful movie or TV series and movies. Stranger Things, for example. God, what else? There's loads. I'm not a big TV person, but most stuff that's come out is harkening back to like a generation or two ago, and it's purely because there's something, people know it, people feel it. You mightn't be able to articulate it, but people feel there's something lacking, and they want that. And I don't know if there's financially if there's a way to bring that back, or do we need something else? Well, not necessarily me, but younger ones need a way to develop social skills, to interact, to have shared experiences. The fact that you don't have to be in one bubble and not leave it, and that's your entire world. Have various interests and various friends. And for example, lots of friends that would see me doing this is daft. Quite honestly, don't like horror movies. Don't like horror stuff. That's fine. I've other interests where people like horror stuff would probably look at me and go, "What are you about?" But that's what makes you, an interesting person, or not just a one-dimensional character. It gives you a bit of depth, and you need to be able to go and, like I said, I'm lucky enough because I'm at the age where I've done all that. I've went to groups. When I've done my role-playing games, I had a club. So every Sunday, God, how many members? We had we were 100 members. A lot of people in the club. It was busy. Especially in the role-playing side of things. Like, I've run Call of Cthulhu games, but I got to experience those different folks in every week. Somebody took the lead. So you weren't just in the small, we only play this group online, because if you leave that group and try to join another one, you're instantly shunned. That's the way social media's went. But yeah, this is the fact that he's driving, he's going to a video store, he runs it, and it just brings back all the memories. You just see it. And I think the younger ones are hankering for that. They kind of want that, and they don't know how to get it, if that makes sense. Because that's what you did. You went and you hung out. Game store. In fact, I tell you a better one. He's not with us anymore, unfortunately. But growing up, one of my neighbours, he ran a sweet shop called the Treats. A little convenience store. Not a 7-Eleven, to put over in American terms, but it was just like a individual on its own shop. And upstairs he had games. So there was a pool table, there was arcade stuff. So it almost became like an unofficial youth club. And then he was the guy that actually taught me how to run. And I was a young fat, I'm an old fat boy now, but I was a young fat boy. But in between then, I managed not to be fat, believe it or not. So that was an example of it. Actually, see, there's one close by. There's a cafe, and it's got a pool. It's a cafe, but it's got a pool table in the front, and it's almost become like an unofficial youth club. Local kids hang about in it. I pass it on the way home from work, and I'm thinking, fair play. It's been years, because community centres are gone, youth clubs are gone. Any way to hang out, it's essentially stripped. So the only thing kids can do is either hang around street corners, hang around in parks, or just sit online. Do you know what I think it is? I think it's just being out of practice. I genuinely think people have just got out of the way and they've forgotten how good it is to actually be with your mates or be with people that share something with. I'll tell you something. I'm going to the theatre this Tuesday. I booked a ticket to Cold Case Cthulhu. It popped up on Facebook because I'm a member of Call of Cthulhu groups. Apparently, it's a mini theatre above a pub. I'm down for that. So I booked the ticket and I'm going on Tuesday. That'll be the first time me going to the theatre in ages. Be a couple of years. So I'm looking forward to that. It's only a tiny place. Like, it's literally, I think you count the number of seats, there's like 50 seats in total. I think it's tiny. But yeah, I'm going to go and go see a bunch of people play. I don't know if it's. I need to find out if it's actually based in the game or just Lovecraftian mythology in itself. But yeah, I'm going to go watch a play this Tuesday and be around people. It's been ages. I'm going to do a review actually once I've done it. I'll ask him actually what I'm allowed to video, so don't spoil it, and maybe take a few clips and then put it on while I do a stream. But yeah, we need. I think what this is highlighting, this anthology, is we need that. We need some mechanism again to start meeting each other again. Because this is the problem. We end up in these little bubbles and we don't experience, the bubbles are becoming more antagonistic. And I even seen it. Actually, back to Call of Cthulhu and role-playing games, there's people won't try other games because for some reason they become so loyal to that. And trying a different game doesn't mean you've betrayed the one that you like, or a new edition. If doesn't mean that you throw all your old editions of the game in the bin and forget about them or set fire to them. They're still there. You're still using them. And if a company goes the wrong direction, you can just go, sorry, you get no more. Come back and track and we'll be with you. Doesn't mean you can't get together and enjoy something else. It's down to talking to people. Okay, guys, what do you want to do? And I think we've lost that. But anyway, back to the story. I know it's turned into a... But that's why I come on live, because we can start doing this now and put ideas in my head and we can talk about it. We have Chad and... who is it? There's this guy keeps turning up to the shop. And he's that typical, he's down as that typical incel, still lives at home with his mum sort of thing. And he wants the job because Chad is hiring and he will not give this guy a job who turns up to his video store every day. We've all met that guy or girl. We've all met that person who is just an absolute pest. It's that customer you have to like, okay, and grit your teeth and be polite to them, but you don't want them working with you, and you definitely don't want to meet them outside. This is what's played out here. So it's actually quite funny the way it's done, because he's like, you're never getting this job. It's not happening. I will have this job. No. It's kind of that thing. And I thought that was the whole premise of the story, but we're kind of taking on a misdirect here, which is interesting. And then we'll have Han, a young guy who actually applies and gets a job. And then we'll have this whole sequence of Chad taking Han through the induction. And this is how we get our opener for the other anthology movies. So it's quite cleverly done. The first one, cold open, kind of throws you a bit. But then when it brings it into, it's a hitchhiker pitching a movie idea, it's that sort of visualization, which is quite cool. So now we're getting into the more traditional way of setting it up, that Han's obviously going to go through and he's going to pick videos. And then as he plays the videos, so it's All Hallows Eve over again, except instead of just being the one tape, it's going to be a few. The next one is One Time in the Woods. God, that's a weird one. So we have these guys, and it's playing with all the horror tropes. So high school, the 30-year-old high school kids that would say, "Oh, trust me, this show does tangents. This is. We should call it the Tangent Zone or the Tangent Podcast, because that's what we do. Just go on it. But here's the thing about horror. Horror is a reflection on life. And I know Cameron is quite articulate about this. He puts it better than me, but horror and the horror genre has always been a social commentary. Which is funny when all these idiots have popped in, all of a sudden going, we're going to tell you how to talk about the world. It's like, mate, we've been doing it since 1901. flipping Nosferatu. You know what I mean? Everything, it's been a social commentary in horror. That's what it's about. Because it's not about the pause. If everything's all fluffy and nice, then it wouldn't be a horror movie. But yeah, that's it's always been that. So there's always scope to go in and do a wee sidetrack because that's what the horror genre does, and it's done it for donkey's years. Even going back to Mary Shelley, the mother of horror, going back to H.G. Wells, go back to H.P. Lovecraft. You know what I mean? It's always been a social commentary on the world as it is and the way people interact, and sometimes putting that stark into people's face, without preaching, is what affects change. Hence why horror, and I hate to use the word progressive, but horror's been like the most progressive people. There's a lot of dum-dums, don't get me wrong, there's some idiots. I suppose like any fandom attracts some flipping knuckle draggers, but for the most part, people in horror are, they examine life, they experience it, they want variety, they want as many different things because they want new monsters, new ways to tell stories. That's what it's all about. And so all of a sudden you get these weirdos from other franchises going, "Man, we're gonna do," and like, we've done it 20 times. What are you trying to do now? And we're gonna swap that. We've done this about 50 times. Oh, we're gonna do, no, mate. Here you go. Here's a, and someone else will reach in their second, hand over about 20 movies that's featured whatever they're trying to, throw. And you're like, yeah, who you talking to here? Go away. But yeah, this one, bunch of kids in the woods, and this guy appears, and he's like, "You gotta tie me up. You gotta tie me up. Your lives are in danger." And you think it's a werewolf movie, but it's the end. It's middle of the day. I need silver. He comes up with like, who the hell brings it? But this guy produces a pair of silver handcuffs. Like, where do you get those? Yeah, like, I like stuff because it's one of those like weird movies. And he just turns into a pile of goo, and then just a whole daft sequence follows. None of these stories have a plot as such. They're just playing with stuff in front of your face, and nothing wrong with that. That's cool because they're only like 10 minute segments anyway. And we see a lot of the same cast, being used for each of these, so that's cool as well. That's kind of what this is all about. But yeah, that's the idea. Because Hans told to keep playing movies, in the background, because that keeps the shop alive, sort of thing. So that's what happens. The movie plays out. Han takes the tape, and oh god, they have a rewinding machine. That was back in the day. That was pure luxury. So rather than having to put it into the machine once it finished and then rewind and then tied up your TV, you could actually buy like a desktop rewinding machine. So you plug the tape in and closed it, and it just rewound it while you could then watch another one. You're probably going, what the hell? I was like, oh, you have to understand physical media. It was just a way of it. Yeah, and then it goes back to the video shop again. Them have another scene. We'll have our guy appearing back again, and then he starts harassing Han, and Han's like, "Go away," and then Chad's like, "Never go into this room, or we'll have to talk," sort of thing, and tries to be all sinister and weird. And then they throw lots of meta references into horror movies. For example, they're talking, and then there's a whole scary clown section, and of course, then a red balloon appears. If you get it, you get it, and then it's just Chad turns up with a balloon. It's all that kind of stuff. It's tongue in cheek, fun, and done in the right way. And then Hans sticks in another tape. Then we'll cut away to the next anthology thing, and this one was Mister, which is men in serious turmoil establishing rights, which is like one of those weird self-help groups which turns out to be a werewolf pack. And this guy turns up, and then it turns out he's a warlock. in a satanic group, and he wants wolf pelts to use for their next ritual. Yeah, that's and that's how daft the movie is. It's only a little snippet, 10 minutes, so it's all very get to the plot sort of thing. That was good. And then that's what's it. We keep jumping back, like Tales from the Dark Side. You know, why the wee kids in the cage, and the witch is like doing all the seasons and stuff, and then she's like, "Oh, read me another," and then she's reading another tale. This is the same sort of thing. We'll go back to the video store. More stuff goofing about happens. He has Han clean the toilets because that's, people abuse apprentices and stuff. To flipping do all the dirty jobs that they want to do. As long as there's bosses and employment, there'll always be that. It's just the way of things. And then he looks in the progressive feminist something section. And so an empty shelf with one tape in it. And then that's where we go. Girls' Night Out of Body. We jump into that one. So there's a lot of poking of fun at groups and stuff, which is quite cool. So you got these bunch of girls. They're meeting. Here's the thing about horror movies, though. Apart from the first Summer Party Massacre, right? But most girls or blokes, they're all meeting up to have party or have fun. Actually, the girls seem to be the worst for it, because if you look at The Seed and movies like that, they turn up, we're going to party, and then they turn out to be having no fun whatsoever. I don't get it. There's maybe a message there, but I don't understand it. Maybe I'm a thick, but every time these girls are turning up, and these ones are the same, they're messing about, and then they turn up the room, and they're supposed to be having fun, and then they're not really. They're just like, meh, not enjoying themselves. But they go to the convenience store to buy booze, and then they come back, and it turns out one of them like swiping stuff. And there's this whole thing. There's a lollipop shaped like a skull and a big sign, not for sale. She swipes it. Then they set it down, and then they all turn out to have skull faces. And then they try ringing the store to apologize, and then it turns out it's either a gypsy fortune teller or a witch, runs the store. So basically, they're all cursed. And then that's it. There's a killer as well. Turns up a stalker. So yeah, blah. There you go. Oh god, what happens in the main plot again? Yeah, we haven't got that bit yet. So it meanders on back to the store, more of the shenanigans, and it's all focused on this other guy wanting the job that the Han now has, and he wants to usurp Han to make him leave so he'll get the job, which Chad doesn't want to give him. Then we go another videotape. This one is The Night He Came Back Again, Part 4, The Final Kill. So you kind of know what it's doing. It's the Michael Myers, the Jason Voorhees, all that kind of good stuff. The killer that never dies and keeps coming back. The creeper, all that kind of stuff. So it turns out that finally they set up the killer. It's like Jason Goes to Hell, where they have a high school kid who turns out to be an FBI agent. So when Jason goes to chase her, it's a setup, and there's a whole team there, and they capture him. Or was that Jason X? That was Jason X. Sorry, my apologies. Jason Goes to Hell. They'd done something that wasn't as good. It was a Jason's soul traveling through people. Sorry, my apologies. Been ages. Yeah, it was Jason X that did that. So it turns out the killer turns up, and everybody's there waiting, and they capture him, tie him up, and then basically keep killing him over and over. But as the plot goes through, the girl that he's focused on is a bit of a bitch. And there's just one guy, and we'll have it in every horror movie and a lot of horror movies, the simp. He's completely in love with her. She knows he is, and she just plays him. And that's that's kind of played out throughout this. Then they try to kill him, they stab him, they cut him up, they electrocute him. He keeps coming back again, and every time he comes back, he kills another one of the group. So every time they get close to the table, he grabs up, he'll kill one, and it goes on like that. And then eventually, they load him up with fireworks and blow him up, and then his dismembered legs kills the other person, the last person beside her. And then she goes and picks up the phone, hires a wood chipper, and then it's just feeding him through. He's like, "I'm your brother," because that was a weird thing to put in. And then she goes off in the sunset, leaves the wood chipper, doesn't clean it out or anything or give it back to the rental company. And then the fireworks are going because it's 4th of July. Then we see the hand appearing again. The end, they really are quick. The next one was a weird one. More stuff happens in between, but that's all really. It's just filler, to set up the next movie. This one's called So Much to Do. I didn't get this one. This was a bit difficult to get my head around. Person's tied up. They're getting pulled out of the boot of a car. They're then getting buried, and he's just like, "I've so much to do." And then that's it. As they're driving off, his soul escapes and he possesses another girl. Then she becomes him. I have so much to do, and then they have this weird fight in the living room, where basically she is trying to take control of her body again by fighting him and getting her soul. That's it. Just goes up. But that was kind of the last movie, and then it goes back to the main plot. They're playing about with the horror stereotypes, like I said, and Chad was talking about, do you know what's annoying in horror movies? You know that guy that never shuts up and is completely oblivious while he's sitting there eating about it? Yeah, the secret room was him having cake and balloons to say, "Oh, you best employee." Like, the guy's only been there one day. He's about to make him, best employee, a new friend. It's that kind of desperation. He's sitting eating the cake and that, and then next thing, Han just bops him around the back of the head. And then this is where the plot goes, sort of cabin in the woods type thing. So Chad wakes up, there's a bunch of strangers, and then it turns out the guards appear and Han's there in a white coat. So Han's actually a plant to kidnap this bloke with a bunch of other ones. And then to go through all the tropes of, you're the stoner, you're the hoe, you're the token black person, you're the final girl, I'm the know-it-all that knows about everything. That whole thing. You're the jock. Is that it? Yeah, that was it. Right. So that was the whole tropes of horror. It's been played out and made fun of. But it turned out this is a research center that's researching horror stuff. Has a real. So it's back to the first original plot that Mike Myers, created about this group being in charge of creating horror movies, but they use real people. So they bring out one of the girls and they make fun of the girl that runs through the woods, nothing there, and keeps tripping over her own feet. So they put her on a treadmill, and then they bring in this killer, because everyone looks like Jason or Leatherface. It's all that type of thing. Big hulking killer that doesn't speak. What do they call him? The something Lake Massacre or something, killer. But yeah, they put her on a treadmill, they get her running, and then she gets so many meters, and then thunk, she falls over. Nothing. And they have it all plotted on a graph thing of her dot moving along, and then the killer still moving. And then they go, another one. They're taking notes. They basically do that with all the characters, and then, like Cabin in the Woods, the killer then escapes. Mayhem ensues. and then they have the, try and escape and they play with it. What was a complete tangent or complete left field thing in this was Joe Bob Briggs. If you're familiar with him, Joe Bob's drive through. He's a commentator. I've only seen a couple of his things. But yeah, he's if you get into horror anyway, you'll know Joe Bob Briggs. He does a whole cowboy thing, the Stetson, and he wears weird makeup. He just I don't know if it's deliberate or not, but it looks weird. It's like television makeup done to the extreme. But he appears as Stephen does, right? You know it's a horror movie. I know it's a horror movie. Points to the camera. They know it's a horror movie, but these guys don't. Let's get them out. And then he gets dispatched in a way. And then just basically people get dispatched. Goes up, and then there is the final girl, because it just plays out the trope. She's the one who drives off into the sunset. And then it goes right back to the start where she meets Mike Myers. But all in all, this was fun. It wasn't taking itself too seriously. This could have been done really badly. There's so many opportunities for us to be just absolutely horrendous, and thankfully, they didn't go down that road, and they just made like a fun movie. It's not memorable. At the end of the day, I've nearly forgotten it. I only watched it yesterday and rewatched a few bits there before it came on. It's forgettable. You'll forget it after a while. It's not challenging in that respect, but sometimes you just need a bit of fun. And sometimes, especially with the horror genre, and that's what makes it unique, is that this isn't a genre that takes itself too seriously. It knows there's a lot of clunkiness with it. It knows that it's never going to get the budget of like the Marvel universe, but also it doesn't really want it because it doesn't want to become mainstream. That's what makes horror unique. And it's all right to celebrate that fact and the fact that there are tried and tested tropes. But then again, how do you a franchise is going for hundreds of years? Horror has always been scary stories, has always been something in people's culture, various forms. So why fix it if it's not broken? But it's all right to poke fun at it and be self-aware. Megan, that was a good example of one I watched there recently. That was an example of a movie that was self-aware and not afraid to, poke fun at itself. Why not? Because at the same time, there's loads of gritty horror. There's loads of make you think horror. Make you question your reality and your sanity. Absolutely tons of that, and it's done really well. The Witch, if you want like real tense drama, perfect movie. It doesn't just stick with the goofiness, but there's nothing wrong with having a bit of a laugh. There you go. So there you go. That's my review. But these things are getting longer. But hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed my random tangents and rants. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Helps me keep this thing going. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I might play a game for a bit. I might revisit that Hell is Others game. I only started that, but I was like knackered. I started that too late. I was a bit exhausted, but I come home and started that. I might try at it for a bit tomorrow. On Sunday, Adam Cameron and I we're going to take a deep dive into the Lord of Illusions. So we're going to talk about the short story and the movie. We're talking about the director's cut as well. So difference between the director's cut and the theatrical release and all that, and that should be a lot of fun. And then put up streams. We're going to have more people on. Guessing Cameron and I are going on all our channels. I need to actually need to get him to send me links to post where he's been appearing, because he appears and then doesn't tell me. And then I'm bloody I don't get to share it with you. So I need to poke at him a bit and go like, "Oi, Cameron, oi, links, come on, let me know before I find out 5 weeks later you've been in something." So I'll try to get that updated as well. As usual, thanks again. Keep up to date with the channel. Do the typey clicky things. And until next time, keep it creepy. Keep it horrific.